Hey everyone, welcome back to KirkToriStory. We just got back from cruising to Iceland on Virgin Voyages Scarlet Lady, which I'm talking to you from right now. And let me tell you, Iceland is magical, jaw-dropping, and sometimes a little expensive. So today we're going to give you the ultimate cruise port guide to Iceland with all the insider tips that we wish we knew before visiting and the amazing natural wonders you can't miss. Welcome to Iceland. My name is Tori, and Kirk and I have been living on cruise ships around the world since late 2022. Normally, we arrive to a cruise port by cruise, but this cruise we actually took a plane. We landed in Reykjavik at 6:30 in the morning after flying Iceland Air, rented a car right away, and started exploring the southern part of Iceland. I think a lot of people just decide to jump on the shuttle that takes you from the airport to the city center. But with such an early arrival and the price of the shuttle for two people, it just made so much sense to rent a car so that we could just get out and explore right away. No crowds, no waiting, and if you consider the cost of taking a tour versus just driving on your own, you could actually save money by renting your car. So if you know you're going to be in Iceland, I would suggest to book your car in advance. You really will thank me for this important reminder. In my opinion, renting a car is a total game changer. Not only did our rental come with coupons for discounted gas, but it also came with 6 free coffees at N1 gas stations. 6. Don't underestimate the value of free coffee in Iceland, where a latte will run you about the same as a down payment on a small car. Another surprise? Parking. Pretty much everywhere we went, we had to pay for parking. 15 years ago when we visited, it was free, but now not so much. The other good news is parking is free at the cruise terminal in Reykjavik, which for us, because our ship was docked for 2 days in Reykjavik, it was super convenient. While other cruise passengers were having to wait to go on a bus to take a tour, Kirk and I just walked literally for 5 minutes to the parking lot and went on our way. Driving in Iceland looks easy on the map. Everything looks close, but don't be fooled. The speed limits are enforced and roads are winding, and you'll stop at every single waterfall that you see, trust me. You'll be late because of your camera, not your car. So my advice would be that you should build in extra time into every road trip that you do in Iceland. And download a parking app before you go. It makes life easier when you're hopping between towns and attractions. In general, the roads are safe and pretty paved, at least where we went. Our car rental even had GPS, which was great because there are millions of roundabouts and the language is so different to read that it could just get really confusing just to go by looking on a map while you're trying to take in all of the scenery. Most people start with the Golden Circle, and so did we. We went to Thingvellir National Park, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, where you can actually see the tectonic plates pulling apart. The cool part? One parking pass works for all of the stops inside of that park. We also stopped at Harnagia Observation Lookout, had gorgeous views and way fewer people. And then there's Profoss, and that's also known as the Game of Thrones waterfall. So if you're a fan, you'll recognize it instantly. Of course, we saw Stroker Geyser, which erupts every 5 minutes, and the incredible Gullfoss waterfall, which is just massive and humbling. It's really quite amazing and it doesn't get old. We could have spent days in any of these places and not get bored of the scenery or anything. And I apologize for all of the pronunciations. And then you have the lagoons. Everyone knows the Blue Lagoon. It's iconic, it's milky blue and full of tourists. What I like about it is that even though the air is crisp and cool, the water is so warm and welcoming, and it's pure heaven. And if you're going there, you should consider also getting the mask experience and to stay for lunch. There's also the more modern, newer Sky Lagoon, which I think almost everyone from our cruise ship raved about. Although Kirk and I didn't go to that lagoon, we saw amazing pictures and heard all about how it feels more local and has that incredible infinity pool view. Whichever you choose, here's the tip: book in advance. These places sell out fast, especially if you're on a cruise ship. Now, let's talk about Reykjavik itself, because honestly, this city surprised us. The last time we were here, 15 years ago, it was much quieter, but this time it feels like a small town that's blossomed into a buzzing capital full of life, color, and visitors from everywhere. So here's the must-dos in Reykjavik if your cruise stops here. Well, there's the Hallgrímskirkja church, and it's like the big spaceship-looking church that dominates the skyline. So ride the elevator to the top because the panoramic view of the colorful houses in the harbor is one of the best in the city. And fun fact, it was inspired by Iceland's basaltic columns like you see in the waterfalls. Speaking of waterfalls, there's a lot of water going by. Sorry about that. There's also the Harpa Concert Hall, and that is the modern glass building right in the waterfront. And even if you don't see a concert, go inside. It's free, and the architecture is stunning, perfect for photos. By the way, the Harpa Concert Hall was also where the shuttle bus for all of the cruise ships gathered. So you could jump on a shuttle and meet people from all the different cruise ships in port. It was quite a nice way to meet people who were on other cruise ships. So we got to compare notes and get inspired about the next cruise that we'll be taking. There's the Sun Voyager sculpture, and that's a gleaming Viking ship looking sculpture on the water. And it's meant to represent dreams, discovery, and freedom. And there's the downtown streets, Lagaveigur and sorry, I can't pronounce these. I'm sorry. These are the main shopping and strolling streets, if you will. You'll find boutiques, cozy coffee shops, Icelandic sweater shops, and a lot of murals. So Reykjavik has incredible street art. Feels like a giant open air gallery. There's the old harbor area, and this is where you'll find whale watching tours, puffin boat trips, and a lot of seafood restaurants. And it's just a nice place to wander and people watch. The National Museum of Iceland, if you want to understand Iceland history from Vikings to modern life, this museum is worth it. So what about Iceland food? So Reykjavik is pricey, but there are two things that you should try that were highly recommended by some people on the Scarlet Lady cruise ship. So there's the Icelandic hot dogs, and there's one place called the Bujaren Bezu Sly. I'm sorry again. It's called the best hot dog in town. But they're made with lamb, and you order them with everything. So that's crispy onions, raw onions, ketchup, sweet mustard. Um, Delicious, they say. To me, it doesn't sound good, but to others, highly recommended. And then there's the seafood soup. It's everywhere, and it will warm your soul. And did you know that Icelanders eat fermented shark? Overall, Icelanders are super friendly, very relaxed, and everyone speaks English. The crime rate is tiny. The prime minister literally bikes to work. You also notice people swimming outdoors all year long because hot pools are part of the daily Icelandic life. And another tip is Reykjavik is compact. You can walk almost everywhere, which we did after dropping off our car rental. So we walked from the rental place to the town center. So again, if you're renting a car, make sure you can just drop off the rental to somewhere convenient. Otherwise, you'll still have to get back to the city center from the airport. All right, let's talk about some of the other cruise ports that we went to. So we went to Isafjordur, and this is a charming little fishing town in the West Fjord. And you can walk around the town and check out the Maritime Museum or head out on an excursion. And the big highlight here is the Dinjandi waterfall, which is this incredible tiered waterfall that looks like a giant wedding cake. And if you're into wildlife, you can take boat trips to see the puffins or go kayaking in the fjord. Just remember, excursions here sell out fast, so you need to book early. And Akureyri. It's known as the capital of the north, and it's a lovely town with botanical gardens, shops, and a striking church. But the highlight for us was the Forest Lagoon, and we heard about it from so many of the staff on the Scarlet Lady. And in fact, there were a lot of staff there in the lagoon while we spent most of the morning and part of the afternoon there too. It was small, but honestly, it was magical with the hot tubs nestled in the forest with the stunning views. So here's the kicker. We booked online ourselves right on the Forest Lagoon and paid literally a fraction of the price compared to what the cruise line was charging. In fact, people who booked through the ship paid about 4 times as much as we did. So that's a serious savings tip. The Forest Lagoon has their own shuttle bus too, and it's literally steps away from the cruise port terminal. So honestly, you can walk for free, but you could buy an inexpensive ticket and come back for free and have a chance to walk through the town before your cruise ship even leaves. Although we didn't do this, we also had friends who had mentioned the Godafoss waterfall, and that's the waterfall of the gods, and some of the best whale watching in Iceland. And there really were a lot of tour operators located just outside of the cruise port. So if you don't buy something ahead of time, I don't think you would have a problem just getting a last minute cruise with that. Again, anything with Iceland, what we wish we knew tip, I would say don't underestimate the time you need. The ports are short and the distances are really long, so you may have to book another trip. Okay, so here's the real talk. What do we wish we knew before cruising Iceland? Number 1, budget for it. Iceland is expensive. Food, attractions, even parking. Number 2, pack in layers. The weather changes every 5 minutes in Iceland. Number 3, book everything early. Your car rental, the lagoons, excursions. Don't wait. Number 4, distances are longer than they look, and what seems like a short drive on a map is often hours in real life. And number 5, expect crowds. Iceland has become a hot destination, literally. Just buses of visitors everywhere. And my bonus tip is that you should bring a credit card that doesn't charge foreign fees. So Iceland is honestly one of the most spectacular cruise destinations we've ever seen. From geysers and waterfalls to lagoons and fjords, it's nature on steroids. But the little tips like the free coffee at N1, booking your lagoon online, and knowing where the free parking is, that does make a world of difference. And if you've liked this video, please don't hesitate to check out some of our others. We did this particular Iceland cruise on the Scarlet Lady, so perhaps you would like to see our cabin on this adults-only cruise line. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.